Questions on intonation roach. Question number 17. How many types of focus can you find? Provide your own examples. There are 5 types of focus regarding the tonic syllable. Number 1. The most common places for the tonic syllable is following the last lexical item rule, which indicates that the speakers will tend to focus on the last lexical word from the tone unit. For example, I have a computer. Although there are cases where this rule is not applied. Number 2. Contrastive use. Any type of word, lexical word, or function word can be the bearer of the tonic syllable, changing the focus on information provided by the speaker. For example, I brought blue cheese. That's a normal case. But a contrastive would be, he didn't bought Parmesan cheese. He bought blue cheese. Similar to the second case, emphatic use, which is use number 3, permits the tonic syllable to appear in earlier position. It focuses on the emphasis that the speaker wants to portray. She was so intrigued, or she was so intrigued. There are other situations in which the tonic syllables may appear earlier in a tone unit. For example, in ambiguous sentences, which is the fourth use. For example, I'm running for a competition. That means that the competition involves running. But if I say I'm running for a competition, means that I'm late for a competition, that's why I'm running. Then the last one is number 5, which is the last part of the tone unit is already given explicitly or as the most common thing to follow. I enter my mail, as you said, or I opened a Coke to drink. Question number 18. How does the notion of ambiguity relate to the grammatical function of intonation? Ambiguity is related to the grammatical function of intonation by the inventing of sentences. These sentences are ambiguous in that the difference can be illustrated by the use of intonation in the sentence, therefore providing the 2 or more interpretations the sentence can have. The following example will show the relation between these 2 concepts. Example number 1 says, those who sold quickly made a profit. And example number 2 says, those who sold quickly made a profit. The first choice of intonation is interpreted as a profit was made by those who sold quickly, while, on the other hand, the second choice is interpreted as a profit was quickly made by those who sold.
Hello, my name is Avila Javier Ulises and I will be answering question 19. What grammatical concepts or categories are studied with this approach? The grammatical concepts or categories that are studied with this approach are the structure of a sentence. Phrase and clause boundaries often align with tone unit boundaries. This also helps the listener to identify sentence structure in real time. Grammatical interpretation. The placement of tonic stress identifies the focus of a sentence. Shifting tonic stress can affect grammatical interpretation or emphasis. Relative clauses. Intonation makes clear the difference between restrictive and non-restrictive relative clauses. Question tags. Falling tone on a tag signals certainty, expecting confirmation. On the other hand, the rising tone signals uncertainty, functioning as a real question. And at last, we have ambiguity. Ambiguity resolution. Intonation resolves syntactic ambiguity in a spoken language.
Hello, my name is Florencia Palacios Rey, and finally we're going to answer how is the discourse function of intonation different from the previous approaches. Well, previous approaches treat intonation as a fixed set of forms linked to specific meanings, such as using a full rise tone to show uncertainty or politeness, usually analyzed at the sentence level. Practically all the separate functions traditionally attributed to intonation, attitudinal, accentual, and grammatical, could be seen as different aspects of discourse function. The risk with such a broad approach is that they often ignore the wider context in which speech occurs. In contrast, a discourse approach sees intonation as part of how speakers manage interaction. It highlights how intonation signals focus, regulates turn-taking, shows stance, and links utterances in conversation. Rather than assuming meaning lies in pitch alone, the discourse view considers tempo, voice quality, and context. This approach avoids oversimplification and better reflects how intonation works in real communication. Though it may be less predictable, it explains much more comprehensively how speakers use prosody to create meaning together. It shows that analyzing intonation in isolation on the basis of isolated sentences or tone units from discourse structure misses its core function, that is, helping others navigate and shape interaction.